Hello again, welcome back. I'm doing another gun review. This is the Thompson Center Encore rifle. There are several variants of the Encore rifle. There's an Encore Pro Hunter, there's an Encore Endeavor. They're all ever so slightly different. The important thing to remember is that an Encore system will be interchangeable with other Encore parts. Now there's a caution to that tale. Things being the way that they are, the newer parts for, say, an Encore Endeavor may not fit your older TC Encore rifle, but original TC barrels will fit the Encore Endeavor frames and so forth. Most parts are interchangeable. Double check just in case, because there are slight variations from rifle to rifle. At any rate, this is, as I said, this is an Endeavor. This is a muzzleloader version. The vast majority of these TC rifles that I see pass through my hands are originally purchased as muzzleloaders, because as a muzzleloader the package deal is the best deal that they have. When you get into a standard rifle, you may save a little bit over buying the muzzleloader, but by the time you purchase the muzzleloading barrel and forend later to convert to a muzzleloader, then you're not getting as good a deal. So I generally suggest to my customers, if they have any intention whatsoever of ever doing any muzzleloading with the rifle, to purchase the muzzleloader and then buy a rifle barrel and rifle forend to go with it. These are a development of the original Contender. Bigger, beefier weapon than the Contender, but the original Contender was the sort of change barrel weapon system. This weapon system, by taking out these two screws, you remove the forestock. Underneath this portion of the forestock is a pin. The pin slides out, and then the whole barrel assembly comes out of the frame. The frame can then be attached to a different barrel. You can also remove the grip and replace this with a pistol grip, and you can use pistol length barrels for pistol hunting if you so desire. Handgun hunting, I should say. It's not really pistols, handgun. At any rate, some of the features that make this a nice muzzle loader, as long as we have the muzzle loading version. This has a quick breech. Quick breech takes a tool. The tool allows you to turn this breech cap from this mark about 90 degrees so that this mark lines up with this mark, and then the breech plug will slide out. Some of the older versions, or the earlier Encore rifles, the breech plug had to be screwed out the entire way. Some of them required a socket type tool that went into the back of the barrel to remove it. That's why I'm saying if you have an Endeavor, make sure you have an Endeavor breech plug. If you have a Pro Hunter, look for the Pro Hunter breech plug. If you have an older muzzleloader, look for the older muzzleloader style screw-in breech plugs. It has a nice ejector for removing the primers. This is an inline style, which is to say that the primer sits behind the charge and is in line with the bore of the rifle. Some of the other muzzleloader styles, they have a cap lock or a flint lock, or if you want to get into some real relics, you can see things like match locks and so forth. But the lock will actually be on the side, and there'll be a flash hole into the barrel from the side. This is in line. They say that this is more accurate than a side lock style. They're probably right. Having said that, I've fired a lot of cap lock Hawkins rifles and several Pennsylvania and Kentucky rifles that were either cap or flintlock, and they can be extremely accurate. So don't discount any style just because you think you're going to get an advantage out of the inline system. The inline system, this one uses a 209 shot shell primer. These are the same standard primers that you would get for reloading shot shells. As you can see, a flat of these lasts you a while. I buy them by the brick, but I also reload shot shells. They do make special primers in the 209 shot shell primer that are specific to muzzle loading. They're the 777s, and there are some other brands available if I'm not mistaken. I've never had a problem with the standard W209 Winchester primer. That's what I've always used. You have some powder options with muzzle loading. You can of course use traditional black powder. You can also use the synthetic black powder known as Pyrodex, or there's a couple of other brand names of synthetic black powders. In general, the term Pyrodex, even though it's a brand name, can be used to say essentially manufactured synthetic black powders. They're a smokeless variant of a black powder. I use the 777 pellets. They're just easier. They come in pellet form. I believe they sell them in 30s and 50s. I use the 50s. Here you can see this is what a 50 grain pellet looks like. 50 grain pellet. I use 2 of those for 100 grain charge. Read the manufacturer's book when you make decisions about how much you're going to use. Some manufacturers' rifles can stand up to 150 grains of Pyrodex. Some manufacturers can only stand up to 100 grains of Pyrodex. Some can stand up to even more. This rifle, if I'm not mistaken from the manufacturer's literature, can stand up to more than 100 grains of Pyrodex. I use 100 grains because it seems to give me the best accuracy of the loads I've tried. Some of the accessories. This is the key to remove the breech plug. And again, breech plug removal is pretty easy. You turn the piece out of the way. You rotate the breech plug 90 degrees and then just wiggle it out. This rifle's just been fired earlier today, so it's going to need a cleaning. But you can see how easy that was. Now cleaning this is much, much easier because I'm not spending a lot of time removing the breech plug. I'll clean this as soon as I'm done here. And the key lets you put it back in. They call that a finger plug because supposedly you can do that with your fingers. You need the wrench, trust me. It does come with this rod extension that has a nice cone shape to it for your sabots. If you don't want to deform the tip of your bullet, that's a good thing to use. Personally, I shoot the Barnes TMZ 250 grain sabot rounds for 50 caliber diameter. These are 451 inches, 250 grain rounds. The saboted bullets, they're much easier to load than trying to shove a copper bullet down that bore. They're not as easy to load as a patch and ball. But I get excellent accuracy out of these, and terminal performance, at least in my experience, has been outstanding out of these TMZs. Again, I shoot the 250 grains. They do sell them in other weights. It's up to you what you want to shoot. Alright, why don't we take this outside and shoot it then? Okay, we're out here at our range with the TCEncore rifle, Endeavor version, muzzle loader, and we're going to shoot this. We loaded it indoors when we showed you some of the features of this weapon, and we left it unprimed. It takes a 209 shot shell primer for safety reasons. So I'm now going to put my 209 primer in. Remember, ear protection, eye protection. Always know your target. And we'll shoot this. It is kind of hard to put a primer in this with a pair of gloves on, just so you're aware. And there's our used primer. Remember, with muzzle loading weapons, much more important to clean them after every shooting than it is a traditional center fire.